left. He will have to be on time because the time control is reduced, and indeed he is on time. Carlson will have black, sits down with his customary 2 bottles of water, and Pragg, as he has done so many times, starting by carefully adjusting every one of his pieces. With the white pieces in game 1, Pragg will have to put some pressure on Magnus Carlsen and set a strong tone.
Yeah, setting a tone is very important. Then automatically your opponent will also feel that I have to do something with my white pieces as well. The handshake is there.
Let's go. Or not. Or not. There we go.
E4. And now it is Magnus's turn to shadow his pieces.
And that was 3 bottles of water. My counting skills not up to par this early in the morning. And Carlson responds, much like yesterday's game, with colors reversed with e5. And something tells me that Pragg will not be essaying the 4 knights defense in this game.
It will be the Italian. I'm pretty sure that Pragg was for the Italian. Exactly, bishop c4 on the board.
Knight f6. And, of course, the fried liver with knight g5. That's into some trouble. That might be a little bit too audacious. And I think knight hf3 satisfies the demands of the position, but Pragg goes forward to f5.
Wow, quite quickly he made this decision. I was trying to highlight how do we trap that queen on h6 after f6, queen h6, and the only way what I find was this rook f7, king h8, knight g8, which would have run into knight h6 checkmate. So
wow.
Just to yes, just to highlight, yeah, that what a crazy construction this is. But Pragg goes instantly for knight f5. This is a move that if it works out well, we will be saying that it was a great choice, putting the pressure on Magnus playing quickly. On the other hand, if Magnus somehow manages to neutralize Black's White's initiative, for example, bishop takes f5, e takes f5, and then maybe king g7, is that possible? Trying to make some control over the dark,
which will be made a lot more vulnerable by the fact that the g-file will open up.
Yeah, however he's posing, he's not blitzing out. We assume that he will be very happy that he gets the chance of playing g5. And g5, f take g5, rook take g5, knight f7, that's the move that also gives Black a lot of stability. The knight comes with a tempo, hits the rook on g5, and the rook falls back to g3. As you indicated, there will be a pressure on the g6 pawn. Also this knight d6, knight f5 ideas are there, but things are heating up. g5 on the board.
Yep, and we have that position, takes and knight f7. As you were just showing, Peter, the rook g5, and it drops back to g2. And I thought that rook g3 made a little bit more sense, but maybe Pragg trying to bring his rook all the way back away from the influence of Black's knights.
Yeah, rook g3 looked a bit more natural, but okay, if you are in blitz mode, rook e6 played by Magnus as well, making sure that the d6 square is beautifully protected by the knight on f7, rook on e6, the rook also.
They will become just nothing at all. I've seen enough things to lose hope, and here I am still going. I am even stronger now.
He exchanges rooks, tries to simplify the position, and I like that decision.
I think it was the correct call. It's not about fighting for initiative. You just have to make sure that in time trouble with 40 seconds on the clock, you have things under control. Maybe even go b4. Yes, b4 on the board.
Move. He is trying to simplify things by force. Exchange pawns make this position easier to play, easier to handle with less than a minute on the clock. And Peter, he's built up 20 very important seconds with his last two moves.
Yeah, creates counterplay. Also signals Magnus that, you still have that b7 pawn, and if I gonna get the pawn to a5, if I ever take that pawn on b7, then the a pawn will be way too powerful. This puts Magnus also on alert. I don't think that he can afford to play for the initiative. It might be that it's a dynamic balance.
And if he plays the move b5 himself, he runs into knight to b6 followed by a5. So it's entirely possible for Black to lose control of this game. And I love Prag's last move, b2, b4, remaining on top and creating practical pressure on Black's queen side as Carlson reroutes his king toward the center.
Yeah, he's probably setting up ideas like king e7, rook d8, trying to trade rooks. Is that a possibility, or is he thinking that if I have the king on e7, making sure that the anti-squares d7, d6 are well covered, then maybe I will be able to activate my rook on the h file? Is he hoping for some counterplay?
Pragg
Very
doing
tense.
the same. He brings his own king up toward the center and maybe trying to overprotect the e4 pawn with king f3. First, he plays a5, fixing the queenside pawns, fixing the pawn on b7 for a rainy day. And Carlson, we mentioned this move earlier, he brings his rook to the other side of the board, and he's starting to exert pressure on Pragg's kingside. That rook can dive into h4 and hit e4, and Black's knights are rearing to get even more active. This could get out of control for Pragg, who's down to 20 seconds now on the clock.
Yeah,
He's
under
hesitating.
some pressure. Yeah, it's never easy to start defending something with little
10
time on the
seconds. He's got to move, and he does get 10 seconds added to his clock per move, but the situation starting to deteriorate just a little bit. Knight h5. Uh-oh, and the knight getting to f4. This is getting scary for Pragg.
clock. The king g2 move was very unfortunate. Now he has to sidestep from the fork. King g1 played.
Knight f4, Magnus sensing the moment, and the other knight can jump into g5, creating fork threats, maybe even some mate threats in some situations. Uh-oh.
Just in a couple of... and Pragg down to 8 seconds.
And look at the speed with which Carlson is moving. Every piece becoming more and more active. The rook coming into h3. It can drive into c3. And suddenly there are all these forks that Pragg has to keep in mind. He's got 6 seconds. And a6, a very panicky reaction as he gives up a pawn.
Yeah, it is a panicky
losing.
reaction because knight a5 can be met by rook c3. Also, bishop a4 can be met by rook c3, knight g5. All this combination of forces seem too much to handle.
Knight g5 might be crushing because if white takes on e5, Black's king just moves up to e6, forces the knight out of e5, and then knight f3 will fork the rook and the king. And Magnus doesn't see it. He plays rook c3, but knight g5 now is even stronger. And he plays it. And this is almost over.
This is over, yes, because knight takes c6 can be met by rook takes c6, bishop c6, knight f3 fork. Pragg in a lot of trouble.
Knight f3, the knights are running amok. White's counterplay on the queen side has not amounted to anything. And Carlson has left himself with 3 whole minutes on the clock to figure out the last couple of touches here. Black is completely winning here, but Pragg will continue to fight until the last drop of blood. He tries to get the rooks off the board, but Carlson can play rook a3, and there's got to be some sort of a checkmating mechanism here. Knight h3 and rook a3 wins the game. It wins a piece.
Exactly. And Magnus pauses because he knows exactly that, yes, this is it. Let me just be precise. And yes, on the board, knight g5 to h3 check. No matter where white is going, king f1 or king h1 will have the same problem that rook a3 will follow with a double attack on the bishop and rook a1 checkmate. The knights, just monster knights.
And it took Carlson so much time and so much finesse to get those knights to where they are. It took a lot of turnarounds and the initiative changed hands. But Carlson laughs last, and he will laugh longest in this first game. He will just move his king to f6, getting away from the checks. And the threat of rook a1 checkmate and rook takes a4 forces Praggnanandhaa to resign the first game.